So another really interesting thing is what you guys are doing with Astroflipping and Keyglee. Talk about how you guys structure your wholesaling because some of the stuff I've seen, like the average person on Instagram is like, don't use real estate agents. You have to go off market. You have to go direct to seller. And you guys have a very interesting model you're doing with stuff that's on market, stuff that's co-wholesaling, different partners and things like that. So talk to people a little bit about what you have going on between Astroflipping and how you've actually made that a franchise with Keyglee.
Yeah, dude, totally. Thank you, man. So this might be a little in the weeds, but essentially we just looked at the regular wholesaling model and it was like, where are all the costs and where's all the time? Like how can we shorten our cycle time so that we get involved in less of it, so we get paid faster? And then how do we limit the amount of costs that we have to, pay out? And like, when we were first starting Keyglee, the pretty standard approach to wholesaling was like, hey, you're going to pay money in marketing. So you're going to do mailers or radio ads or PPC or whatever, right? And you're going to put out money and it's going to be $5,000 for a contract, for instance. So like every $5,000 in marketing you spend, if you're a good negotiator, then you can get a contract. And if you're just starting, like let's say you're just kicking it off, that's a really dangerous way to start in the business because you're like, okay, I'm going to put $5,000 into mailers, for instance. Hopefully the mailers are good and the copy's decent. So then after that, you get 8 phone calls, right? And 7 of them are telling you to like piss off. You're like, so it's just telling you, don't send me these postcards. You're like, okay, sorry. And then one guy wants to sell, right? And he actually might be a deal, but now you have no negotiation experience. And so you probably go out to the house and blow the deal, right? And so you wasted $5,000. You got to start over. Or you keep negotiating with that guy and it's, a 3-month or 6-month thing. And finally he signs a contract with you. Okay, cool. So I was like, all right, so it's $5,000 a contract. We want to do, let's see here, we want to do 40 deals a month. That's got to be $1 bajillion in ad spend. You know what I mean? That we need to spend on the front end. And then this guy that just contracted that deal, right? So you finally, after 3 months, you put that deal under contract off the $5,000 that you've been out this whole time. You put a deal under contract and now you have 10 days to sell it. Otherwise you don't make anything, right? And it's like, well, that seems a little janky. So basically our strategy was like, hey, can we insert ourselves once a deal is already on the table and just make sure these 10 days go well, right? Can we just do the buyer side? If we work with other wholesalers that are spending money on the front end, that are already pro negotiators, everything else, pro marketers, pro negotiators, they go out, they do that because they're really good at that part of the business. They get the property under contract, let's say for 250, and they come to us and they say, hey man, I got under contract for 250. I want 280. You can take anything above that. And for us, the opportunity shows up when we're like 15 days from close. You know what I mean? So they've had to work on this for 6 months, but we got a 15-day window. And they're like, okay, 280, I think we could sell this for whatever it is, 289.9. And so we mark it up 10 grand and we sell it, within those 10 days. It closes 10 days later. We make 10 grand, they made 30. So they made the lion's share, but they also had to put out money up front and they had to work the deal for 6 months. We didn't have to put up any money up front and we didn't have to work the deal for 6 months. So when we started running that model, it allowed us, because the linchpin is how fast you liquidate on your ad spend, like how fast you get your money back that you put into ads, right? Like I can't spend another $5 in ads until I get my $5,000 back. And that's going to take 3 months if I'm running the old way. Whereas if you run the new way, it's like, I didn't spend any money. And so I can sell as many of these as I can possibly get. So bring me as many properties as you want. I'll focus on the buyer side and just keep punching into these 10-day windows where we're collecting 10 grand. Right. And so that was, or $5,000 or 15 grand or whatever. And so that was really our model that allowed us to scale. Right. And we just literally could keep going. And so that's what took us where, 1 month we're doing twosies, foursies, like 2 deals, 4 deals, feeling amazing. To then we're doing, 24, 6 months later, and then, 40, and then 60, and then 80 and whatnot. That was kind of the strategy that we built all the systems and processes around and tech around. And then probably a couple years into doing that, we had a lot of people approach us and just say like, hey, would you guys consider franchising? So that was one part. And then the other part was we had some really talented team members that, want to own their own business, and was like, well, maybe we can create a vehicle that'll allow them to own their own business, and we could probably sell franchises, and that would allow us to expand to new markets faster. So that's what allowed us to, that was kind of the impetus for starting Keyglee and Keyglee franchising.